Hey everyone, I'm Paul, and today I'll show you how to adjust the rear drum brakes and parking brake in this 2002 Toyota RAV4. This brake handle pulls up most of the way before it gets tight. That means the rear drum brakes should be tightened. Also, the handle has a lot of side-to-side play. Lifting the RAV4 by the rear differential is easy. I'm using a wooden block because my jack doesn't go high enough. Set up the jack stands under the unibody pinch welds just in front of the rear wheels. I'm using an air impact wrench to get the lug nuts off. If you're doing this by hand, loosen the lug nuts before you lift the car. If the wheel is stuck, give it a nice kick. Now pull the drum off. Just kidding, this one is stuck. I'll have to loosen it up with the sledgehammer. Turn the drum a few times and hit it again. It's not coming off yet. I'm scraping the rust off the spindle. The drum needs to slide past here, so make sure there isn't any rust holding it. Most cars will have threaded holes to help you push the drum brake off the spindle. Tighten the bolts a little bit at a time to make sure you're pulling the drum straight on both sides. Let's give it a little more help with the sledgehammer. There it goes. Now the drum is ready to come off. You can see these bolts go through and push the drum away from the spindle. Inspect the braking surface. This drum is smooth with no grooves and no lip on the inside edge. I just need to dump out the dust and this drum is good. It looks like somebody replaced these brakes recently. The brake shoes have a lot of material left and there is no rust on the hardware. The springs look new and these brakes are in good condition. You should always check the wheel cylinder for leaks. Pull back the dust seal to see if there's any brake fluid coming out. That side is good, and this other side is dry too. The rear brake has an adjuster wheel that moves the shoes closer to the drum. Notice you can tighten it easily, but it won't turn in the reverse direction. If you've tightened the brakes too much, you have to push this lever away from the wheel. Then you can turn the adjuster. The gold piece is connected to the parking brake. Theoretically, the rear brakes can adjust themselves when you use the parking brake, but that system doesn't really work. Notice you can also adjust the brake through this hole in the spindle. The brake drum has a rubber plug covering the adjustment hole. When installing the drum, pay attention to where the holes are. The adjustment hole is just to the right of one of the lug stud holes and close to it. Make sure the threaded removal holes line up with the solid part of the spindle. Now install the drum. It should take a little effort to put it on. If it's too hard and gets stuck, loosen the brake adjuster. You should be able to turn the spindle by hand. It's normal for the brake to drag a bit, but you should still be able to turn it with your fingers. It's pretty hard for me to turn it, so the brake is too tight. I'm going to reach in through the adjustment hole, push the lever away from the wheel, and loosen up the brake. Now the brake drum is easy to turn. If you need to tighten the brake, simply push the adjustment wheel with a flathead screwdriver. Only do a few clicks at a time and check to make sure it's not too hard to turn the drum. Reinstall the plug when you're done. Now the parking brake handle is tighter. I expected it to only get one click, but there's another reason for that. This handle is super loose. I'll need to get the center console out of the way. Unscrew the shift knob and don't let the fake shifter cover screws fool you. This piece just snaps in place. Remove 2 Phillips head screws here, then move to the back of the center console. Open the rear cup holder and you'll find 2 bolts holding the center console. Now pull the front of the console up. We need to unplug the 12-volt power outlet. Then the center console comes out. Oh, look at that! I got some gum, a French fry, and some money. Be eating good tonight. Oh, just got a couple screws loose. I can relate to that. I just need to tighten these bolts. That's easy. Always do the final tightening by hand because you can't really tell how tight an impact driver gets things. I'll quickly slap this thing back together so I can enjoy my gum and French fry. I'm so lucky. Remember to plug in the power outlet and install 2 screws. Don't forget about the 2 bolts in the rear cup holder. Install the shifter boot and snap the cover down into place. The shift knob screws into place. I'm always impressed how they stop turning at just the right position. Let's check the parking brake handle. This is much tighter than before. My technique for installing the wheels is just sit on the ground and hold the wheel with your feet. That makes it easy to line up the lug studs. Always start the lug nuts by hand so you don't cross-thread them. Replacing stripped lug studs is very hard, so don't mess them up. I'm saving some time by zipping the lug nuts on with my electric impact driver. This tool is too weak to over-tighten the lug nuts. Don't do this with an air impact wrench. I'll torque the lug nuts when the car is on the ground. Lift the car by the differential and take the jack stands out. I'm using the Harbor Freight Quinn digital torque wrench. It makes a solid tone when the correct torque is reached. Watch the display so you don't go tighter than 80. Adjusting the rear brakes in a front disc rear drum setup is more important than you might think. If those rear brakes are loose, when you press on that brake pedal, they're actually not doing much. So you're more likely to lose control of your vehicle when braking in wet or slippery conditions. So if your brake handle is loose, go back there and adjust your rear brakes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.